Well, good morning, everyone. This is our community Bible study, and we're doing this a little differently today. We're going to consider Genesis 4, which is the next installment about Cain and Abel, the first two sons of Adam and Eve. And tongue in cheek, I'm calling it brotherly love, and we know, of course, that's not quite how it turns out. And this will be shown on Thursday, June the 24th. But what I'm going to do is I'll go over a little bit of this and then give some questions. And I encourage you to, at home, pull out your Bible or call the front desk and let us send you a study guide on Genesis 4 so you can read and answer these questions yourself. So we know that Adam and Eve left the garden. Eve became pregnant, gave birth first to Cain, her first son, and then his brother Abel. And it's interesting, Abel, the second, was the one who kept flocks, and Cain is the one who worked the soil. And in the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits from the soil as an offering to the Lord, and Abel brought fat portions from the flock. And the Lord looked favor on Abel and not Cain. And so Cain was angry. And eventually we discovered that Cain killed Abel. God asked him, where's your brother? And he says the famous quote, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And the Lord curses him, and Cain is worried about his punishment. And then we have the story of what goes on from there. If you get the handout, I actually have the genealogy of Adam and Eve and the sons. But my questions that I hope you'll look up and think about are, first, why is there so much conflict among brothers? And why is so much of that part of the story of the Israel people from the Bible? Why does one get favored over the other? Here we have Cain and Abel. Later on, we have Ishmael and Isaac, Adam and Sarah's sons. We have Esau and Jacob, who were Isaac's two sons. We have later Joseph and his brothers, and you remember they were going to kill him and they sold him into slavery. The conflict among the brothers, and some that were favored by their father or their mother, and there seems to be some background disputes throughout the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures, of those who were the nomads, who had flocks and traveled with those, and those who were more in place and they were gardeners or they worked there in the home. And that seems to be some of the conflict. Why does God seem to favor one group over another? I challenge you to read and think about that. And then there's that quote of Cain who says, "Am I my brother's keeper?" God didn't answer that, but he basically insisted that he did have some responsibility for what happened, not just because he killed his brother, but also that somehow as family members there is some obligation to each other. Then we also learn that Cain and then his younger brother Seth, who was born later, they ended up choosing wives and having families. And Genesis doesn't tell us where those wives came from. Now, I throw that out not just so that we question what's going on, but to think about that there were other people in the world there as well. And somehow or other, though, the story of God's faithfulness is through these generations of Adam and Eve and Cain and Seth and on all the way down from Seth, Adam and Eve's third son. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 generations, and then there's a man named Noah, with whom we are all familiar with. And so this is the the generations of the story of God's covenant before the word covenant shows up yet with his people. So anyway, those are some questions for you to consider. Read Genesis chapter 4 and think a little bit about what was going on. What's the message of God in the story of Cain and Abel? Have a good week, and I'll see you next week, and we will move forward probably to Noah.